Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, there's some big controversy going on right now when it comes to PlayStation, when it comes to censorship, and now when it's coming to offering refunds and kind of that big corporate drama. Now, as I'm sure you guys probably know, there's been a big controversy when it comes to Stellar Blade. And although the game itself is actually having some really good reception, people have really enjoyed the game, they like the graphics, they like the model, they like everything, for some odd reason, this game in particular has been kind of just very targetedly and harassed. We've covered this a pretty decent bit on the channel itself, but it's kind of drawing to the point where Sony is making really weird decisions. Now, as of right this second, there's been some bigger drama where they're now offering the very rare PlayStation refund, and I really can't think of too many other games out there who have ever dealt with this. Maybe Cyberpunk is a good example, but that was also an absolute flop, especially on older gen consoles. So we're going to go talk about this very strange, I guess, issue, drama, and everything else, and why this might be a bigger deal as well. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, or the Twitter and Twitch room down below in case you guys want to follow. And of course, I want to hear all your thoughts and comments down below. Now, kind of like my quick level for this one is that I haven't really cared too much about the censorship level on both sides. I do think that games should launch how they're expected to launch. I do think a little bit of things like a mid-drift or cleavage isn't the biggest deal, and I do think Sony went a little bit on the hardcore censoring some stuff out. Now, I do think something should have been censored in general, but at the same time, I kind of like the waifu games. I'm an adult. I don't really mind. I can kind of separate between the difference of a game versus reality and drama versus non-issue. And I'm kind of more to point a lot of this towards the non-issue side. But as of right this second, Sony is doing something very rare. And these emails are now being sent out where right this second, people are trying to go and refund the game and just basically get all their money back from Stellar Blade over these now claims of censorship, and as well also for claims of false advertisement. Now, if you guys could probably go and see between the line, it's basically the same issue just on two different sides, which kind of seems that PlayStation made it so they lose, and also that Shift Up, the actual maker of Stellar Blade, is also losing as well. Because kind of the high level of it is if people are trying to go and refund the game due to false advertisement on, say, outfits or characters or whatever, that is an issue with PlayStation. They're losing money. Shift Up is also losing game sales, also losing money. But at the end of the day, Sony was also the same company too as well that told them to censor things and change things. That has been confirmed in other various news articles. So as of right this second, we're now seeing news of this email, as you guys can see right over here, where it says, source from KF, which says they got it from Reddit. So some Reddit users have had these emails where they either contact for Stellar Blade or as well talking to support. And it is apparently now that Sony is approving refunds for Stellar Blade for being falsely advertised. Remember when I said they might be trying to screw Shift Up over? Yeah, this might be proof of that. So kind of give you guys the quick run through. And this one says, thank you for contacting PlayStation support. We have reviewed your case and actually have approved your refund in the amount of 85 USD. The funds are being returned to your original method of payment, except where that is not possible, in which case we'll go to your PSN wallet. Please note that refund timing depends on your original payment method, and this is basically them confirming that Stellar Blade is getting a refund. Now, as I mentioned, they're going from both sides. Some things are getting refunds in regards to this, hey, why did you censor the game and mismarket the game and hide outfits or change characters or do these day one patches? And then on the reverse, like I said, some people are also kind of complaining too in just the general set and state of the game of the inappropriateness of it. So it's kind of no one really wins. Right now there's drama on both sides, and it's kind of some people are complaining you're going left and some people are complaining you're going right. So right now it's kind of just the call in the middle. And also, PlayStation was the one that also pushed these changes too. So this is why things get weird. So now we're seeing articles over here people are trying to refund Stellar Blade over claims of censorship. Some of Stellar Blade's players are refunding the game after a few of the Eve's outfits were altered before release, as we covered. So some of the Eve's outfits in Stellar Blade changed in the day one patch, sparking accusations of censorship. These outfits were not available in pre-release copies and can be only found on physical release. So as of right this second, it's mostly been confirmed too that people with physical releases are also out there, they're able to enjoy the game if that's what they want. The only way to actually have these non-censored, non-changed day one patch updates is if you had the physical copy. And well, that kind of once again lows into a different issue of people complaining about physical versus digital and how like the game ownership and how anyone could basically go and change the game on a fly. Some good examples is like City Skylines, who tried to do a big update and they ruined the game itself from a DLC. So if it was a physical only game for say City Skylines 2, they probably would have actually had the game working fine the entire time. But obviously that's just how the world works. Usually most games will fix their problems, so it's not the biggest deal, but it is a proper problem that people are highlighting, saying that physical copies are fine. Now as well, people are also once again trying to get their money back, either when it's from like just their own disappointment, whether it's for memes or really tried to play the game for 5 hours, didn't like it, and try to get a refund. But you want to remind people that when it comes to PlayStation, they usually don't do refunds. Not as good as Steam, where they do like a 2-hour refund almost no matter what. So it's very intriguing to go and see that Sony is actually allowing this, incentivizing this with their censorship, and as well also like basically making both them and Stellar Blade lose money. So a group of Stellar Blade fans have been accusing developer Shift Up and publisher Sony of censoring the game. This comes as soon as Eve's outfits were found to have received changes in a day one patch, with fans arguing that the alternatives amount to censorship. The original designs are only visible if you have the physical copy of Stellar Blade and install it without the day one patch. They were not present in the pre-release copies that reviewers and content creators received ahead of the game's launch, making the reason behind the changes unclear. And we do think a lot of people have actually been making comments on this, mostly discussing realistically on like just Sony having a big say. There's a few controversies that went out there. We saw news articles, some like racial things that may have happened inadvertently, and that's probably Sony being like, hey, this is definitely not what we signed up for. We don't mind like, lewdy waifu games, but everything else, not the best. But they did have a chance to go and change up a lot of these outfits, and we showed some on prior videos. Let this little TikTok play out so you guys can go and see it. But like that is a big point in the game. Like a big marketing point is having like these cute outfits. They're based on Korean waifu models, and like it's meant to be a little bit on the looter side or like out there side. I mean, that's just how it is, how the game is, and I can maybe see that being a somewhat valid complaint. I'm not someone who'd probably complain about it, at the end of the day. But at the same time, if people are seeing these waifu outfits and it's part of the character design, and maybe people generally do and did want to buy the game truly for this, I can maybe understand that and get that. I can maybe, sure. But also at the end of the day, like if the gameplay is most of the same, it's kind of where that PlayStation's refunding it. So some people are going on the next level, or some people are assuming that it actually might have been more of like a corporate espionage like takeover. Now this is slightly on like conspiracy theorist. I just think that Sony is traditionally a Japanese company, and they are a little bit more held back when it comes to what they're customized. This outfit, by the way, one of the best outfits. Just saying, if you guys look at the screen, just saying, AO. But when it comes to all this type of stuff, it's like they're usually more of a traditional, very reserved culture. Not everyone, obviously, but like a little bit more respectful. They don't like the flashiness, etc. So I can maybe see how Sony, number one, had to go and step on in and did go and tell Shift Up in private, confirmed by other outside media sources, that they did have to go and change the game and do the things on that. Like, that makes sense. That's understandable. So that maybe they already had it in their executive mindset of like, hey, people didn't like this. There is issues. There is problems. We have to fix this. So maybe that's why they're allowing these refunds. Kind of the similar statue of Cyberpunk, where everyone, if you guys remember when Cyberpunk, especially in prior gens, launched, a lot of people were very unhappy with the game, with bugs, issues, glitches, or whatever. Now, I do think mismarketing might be slightly of a harder one to get money back on, but people were getting money. Like, people did confirm this. People are even offering this. We have multiple articles over here discussing this, where they are now actually offering refunds. If this is all in regards to the advertisement too as well. Although some people are saying there might be a shift in how Sony does it too on top of this. Some people are saying they're not really sure why Sony caved on in for these journalists and censored the game too as well, because it is meant to be like a fan service game. So if you don't have the fan service, aka the pretty outfits, then what's kind of the big point too as well? And they're even saying like not even Nintendo even censored Bayonetta. So some people are a little bit concerned about this because they don't want to have the game like not like have that little baby inkling of drama and issues with it. Like they just want to make sure everything is a God of War or Horizon where it's just like to the point video game. But sometimes you want to have those like off the wall games. Sometimes you want to have those like smaller, like games like this where it's off the wall. Like you got waifus just doing combat. Like it's fun. Like it's video games are meant to be fun, not like it always perpetually like pushing towards shareholders. And I'd rather have a fun game than not. Although it is at least nice at the end of the day that PlayStation is offering refunds. I, as a company, probably wouldn't, and I probably also wouldn't have maybe had to make so many censorship changes in the first place, because it does actually impact Shift Up, the maker of the game, also affects PlayStation, obviously, as the publisher. So it's one of those things where I'm not 100% sure, like, where I lie. I think these are weird calls. if people want to get their money back, I think it's nice, but I don't think that's really been a big issue. I don't think many people really care about the outfits or everything else. I think it's just like people in the media just wanting something to yap about at the end of the day. So I want to know if you guys agree, if you guys disagree, if you guys have played the game, have liked it, because I do think it's crazy that a lot of people are calling this stuff on out and discussing this and being like, yeah, this is not what I want. Especially after seeing the actual CEO himself discussing the same, like, hey, we're trying our best to not, do anything big or crazy changes, but it seemed like the whole game was changed a lot. So give me all of your thoughts and comments on everything down below. I appreciate you guys all so much for watching in the first place. Make sure you guys don't lose your waifus too as well, and I'll talk to you guys all soon.